right. Should only be another 2 seconds here. All right, cool. We're good to go. So what was your biggest takeaway from the event? Besides the fact that you figured out that I really like to hear myself talk.
My biggest takeaway is that we really have to start marketing. We don't do any marketing whatsoever. I was very impressed with the whole operation and the professionalism. I was also pleased that it wasn't a pitch fest like a lot of other events that I've gone to.
Yep.
I liked it a lot. So the biggest takeaway is that we really have to start a marketing plan and a marketing program, which we never done. We've been doing this for almost 3 years, and we never really did any marketing whatsoever. And we're gonna close about 40 deals this year, and we've never done any marketing.
So how are you guys doing it without doing any marketing? I mean, you're in New York City, right?
Well, right outside New York City, in Nassau County, New York City suburbs.
Like Long Island or
Long
okay, all right. So, well, Long Island is pretty similar to where we are. I mean, it's still super competitive. So, how are you even doing any deals without doing any marketing?
So when we started, we were buying at the live auctions.
Yep.
We still go to the live auctions, but we haven't bought anything there in a long time, maybe 7 or 8 months. Go there to build buyers lists because those are the people that are buying.
Yep.
We haven't bought anything there because prices are insane. We bid, I would say, on at least 1 or 2 properties every week, but somebody bids higher.
Of course.
And when we looked at that, we said, if other people are paying, $40,000 more for a property than we were, then whatever property we get, we can wholesale to them and make some money on. So we started wholesaling to a lot of the buyers that we met at the live auction.
Mm-hmm.
We're buying on online auctions. We're buying off of MLS.
Yep.
And we have relationships with a bunch of realtors who send us off market deals or deals that are about to go on the market, and we've been buying. But we've been buying, around 3 deals a month. This year we're on track to do about 3 deals a month, maybe a little more, and we want to really ramp that up to about 10 deals a month, wholesaling at least half of those.
So when you say you're buying 3 deals a month, are you closing on 3 deals, or you're wholesaling some of those?
So we're gonna probably close about 40 deals this year, and we will, until this point of the year, we've only wholesaled 2 or 3 deals. Almost everything we're doing, we're rehabbing. We're rehabbing a lot of deals right now.
Mm-hmm. What are the profit margins on average for the deals that you guys are doing?
Dollar-wise or percentage-wise?
Dollar-wise.
So we have private investors on every one of our deals, and our average deal, after we pay our investors, we make between $25,000 and $30,000.
Okay. What is the typical purchase price, renovation, resale typically look like?
I'd say we buy in the high 2s to low 3s and sell in the high 4s to low 5s.
Okay. And when you say private investors, what are they taking a cut of the deal? Or
most of them we have a negotiated percentage of the profits that we give them. It's ranging between giving them 20% of the profits and keeping 80 to giving them 70% of the profits and us keeping 30.
And what is that based on? Who it is?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started out, we were desperate for money. We made some deals. We got big investors that helped us out, and we gave them better deals. And as we've gotten better, we've gotten more. We've cut better deals for ourselves.
Yeah, of course. So typically speaking, right now, are more of those deals where you're giving up 20, or where I guess I'm trying to figure out. Well, forget about that. I guess what would you be making? Would you be making double on every deal if you weren't cutting people in? Or
yeah, I'd say we probably average around $60,000, $50,000 to $60,000 net profit before we pay our investors.
Okay, but now you would always be borrowing anyways, so that might be cut down to say 40,000 after you pay a lender, whether it's a hard money lender or even a private money lender.
No, the $50,000 or $60,000 that we're netting is after we pay the lender.
Okay.
After we pay the private lender, we pay 2 people on each deal. We pay a hard money lender, and we pay an equity lender or investor who gives us the part of the deal that the hard money lender won't give us.
So you're using equity lenders to gap fund all the deals?
Correct.
And so they're giving you just 20, 30%.
I would say they're our typical equity investor is putting in about $100,000 on each deal.
Okay, makes sense. So they're putting up a third of the money or something along those
Two-thirds
lines.
coming from a hard money lender, right?
Okay, makes sense. So those are relationships obviously you had to do in the beginning. Now you're kind of working your way towards reducing those payments, and as you do that, your deals will become a little bit more profitable. So $60,000 net per deal on average doesn't sound too bad. Are you having difficulty replicating that, or is it that you're trying to make more than 60 on a deal?
We're always trying to make more on a deal, but we're
Yep.
really more trying to do more deals. We need to do more. We need to do more.
Yeah, because I mean, $60,000 on a deal in your market, in my market, it's probably a little bit below average, but it's not dramatically below average where I would say that that's almost a problem. It sounds like to me that it's just a matter of getting more of those. So,
Well, if we were keeping 60,000, if the $60,000 was going to us, we'd be a lot better. But again, a big chunk of that is going to the equity investor. So we're getting about half of that.
okay, so you're doing 3 deals a month with the current systems that you have. To do 6 deals a month using the current marketing that you're doing, buying stuff online, buying stuff at auction, is that even possible? Even if you had all the money in the world, is that possible to get these good deals?
It might be possible because we don't even do the entire Nassau County. We do only a small part of Nassau County.
Mm-hmm.
If we expand it to the entire county, we might be able to do it. If we double the deals we're doing and had to rehab them all, I think we'd have a tough time with just the two of us.
Okay, so obviously I'm a big, proponent of spending money on marketing. But given that you are able to find deals without spending marketing money, what would be the negative to just starting there first, starting to expand the geographic location with the stuff that you're currently doing?
I think we certainly need to. We might be able to do it if we hired a few people. It's just that there's a lot. It'd be a lot of spending a lot of time on the road, just getting out there and being on top of the project.
Okay, managing the projects or managing going out and bidding on houses and things like that?
Both.
Okay. So how important is it to you guys that things are closer to you rather than far?
It's not as important as getting to where we need to be, where we feel we need to be with a number of deals.
Okay. Because I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here because I mean, you can kind of go in two directions. Obviously, you can do what you're doing and expand out, and maybe that would get you to 4 or 5 deals every single month. I don't know the answer to that because obviously I'm not bidding online. I'm not, even bidding at live auctions or anything like that. I'm not buying on the MLS. But it sounds like you may be able to get to those numbers without spending any money on marketing. The benefit of spending money on marketing, besides the fact that the profit margins are going to be a little bit bigger, is that you're going to be able to really control where those deals are. So typically speaking, out of the 3 deals that you're doing every month, what is the distance in travel time for both of you?
Within a half hour to 40 minutes of our office.
Okay, so fairly close.
Yeah.
Definitely drivable, definitely no issues there. When you're talking about expanding into other areas of Suffolk County, how far would that take you then?
Could be as far as like an hour and a half drive away.
Okay. So this is actually the road that we took in the very beginning stages. This is going back to maybe 2012 and 2013. We were buying all our properties on HUD, HomePath. We're buying properties at auction. And so instead of spending a lot of money on marketing, we started to expand out. And the problems that we had and why we don't do it anymore and why we actually cut our radius down more is because the management of those jobs became so difficult. So, I don't know if you've ever tried to manage a renovation from an hour and a half away, but as you know, a lot of different things crop up during the course of a project. And when you have to drive 90 minutes or 2 hours to get there, it just becomes that much more difficult. And the biggest problem with it that we were having was that little things weren't getting done. I'll give you an example, like checking to make sure during the winter that the heat was on. So we had pipes burst because it wasn't easy to go out there and just check to see if the heat was on. So there was all different problems that cropped up because of how far it was. So that was on the management side. But then on the acquisition side, we started to go into markets that we didn't know quite as well. So in some cases, we end up overpaying for some properties. And bottom line is, after doing it like this for about a year, we ended up deciding that we needed to, really narrow our radius. And now we're always looking to stay within, if we can, 40 minutes of my office that you visited. So you're going to get a lot of benefit management wise and even on the acquisition side from being close and knowing where you are. The negative is that if you want to ramp up your deals, you're going to have to spend the money on marketing in order to get face to face with sellers, and that's kind of where people end up making a decision doesn't make sense for them. So what I've found is that when you are in your backyard, you get labor cheaper, you get deals, you get better deals. You know what you can pay a little bit more. Sometimes in my backyard, I might pay a little bit more for a property than it might say on paper because I know that town is kind of like a blue chip town and I know it's a guarantee. So I'm a big proponent of doing it that way, but it is just a matter of spending the money and spending it the right way. And then also being able to do the one-on-one appointments. So instead of going to the auctions live, you're going to be going face-to-face meeting with sellers live. So it is a different process. It is a little bit more sales oriented because you are dealing with people one-on-one versus going out to a property and just raising your hand. But I do think that net, your profit margins will go up.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to start marketing too. I think we just got a broker's license about a month ago.
That's good.
So we want to start recruiting agents and follow your model of sending agents out.
Yeah.
Either buy the property or get the listing. I think that's something we want to do. We really need some help in how to figure out how to recruit agents. I think it's an amazing offer. I just don't know how to present it in front of them.
Well, it's a really easy offer because the number one thing that agents struggle with is getting leads. And there's a lot of really good agents that have a difficult time getting leads. And not only do they have trouble getting leads, but you're going to be providing them with the absolute best type of leads, which is going to be a seller lead. Typically speaking, when we generate a motivated seller lead, even when the seller doesn't want to sell to me as an investor, they're usually much more reasonable with the amount that they're willing to sell for than a traditional seller because of the fact that they still usually have some motivating factors. I mean, they called us for a reason. They may not be willing to take, 30% of the after repair value for their property, but they're still motivating enough to call us. And typically speaking, they make really easy listings. So I think the recruiting part of it is just really a matter of agents understanding the value proposition and you spending the time, recruiting within your area. So one thing that we did really in the very, very beginning, we did three things for recruiting in the very, very beginning stages. The first thing that I would do is I would hold a lunch and learn event at my office every other week. And we would put it on Meetup. And we would also get an email list of every single agent in the area that you want to recruit. So they sell real estate agent lists. And I don't know if you have access to them already or if you don't, but I would definitely email blast out those people and invite them to your event. And I can even show you the exact emails that I send out, and you can look on my Meetup to see what those events look like. But basically, the event would basically be like, what are the benefits of working with an investor? And we would talk about the seller leagues, and we would talk about the fact that you're going to be able to make an offer on every single property that you prospect to. So if you think about it from an agency perspective, um, say that you're calling on an expired listing, it's a lot easier as a real estate agent to call on that expired listing and say, hey, I can make you an offer on your property, than saying, oh yeah, I'm one of 50 other agents that's calling you, I want to give you an idea of what your property's worth, or I want to point out what the other listing agent did wrong. So for an agent, there's huge value proposition. And in addition to that, that one of the sessions that you missed, I mean, what are you guys doing when you're flipping your properties? Are you putting signs in the ground on day one?
We're not. We got to buy signs. We just got a broker's license, and we got to order signs.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's enormous benefit for an agent to work with you because you guys don't want buyer leagues, right?
Well, we would want to sell our rehab properties to them, but we don't have a CRM yet. The reason why we haven't put out signs is because we haven't figured out which CRM to use yet to capture those buyer leads. We want to make sure we're in place, but we're going to do that shortly.
Yeah. So there's just so many benefits for a real estate agent in your backyard to want to work with you. It's really the dream scenario for any real estate agent. So the hard part is obviously getting the message out. So what we would do is we would have those every other week meetup events that we would host at our office, and I would also host them at our renovated properties too. The second thing we would do is we would do a big text message blast out to the people who we wanted to recruit. And we would just say something simple like, we've got tons of motivated seller leads. Would you be interested in working with us if we could provide you with guaranteed seller appointments? And we would just blast that out. And yeah, most of the people would say, go screw. And most people who get them, they don't even believe we really have them. I mean, even people in my market right now don't believe a lot of the times that we even have seller leads. Like, they'll come into our office, they won't believe it. They'll call down our roster to see, the other agents who are taking the appointments. And it's like until they actually start taking them, because no one else is in the position to hand off a seller lead like an investor. So there's that, the meetups, the text message blasts, and then just what was the last thing I was going to say on the recruiting side? Those are the two. Oh, and Craigslist. So if you just put an ad on Craigslist, I think it costs $50 in our market. And I can send you also my Craigslist ad that I post, and you guys can just take a quick look at it. I mean, it costs you about $50 every time you post it, I think, in New York. But you'll get, an application every week. So yeah, I mean, it's just a process. I do have a full-time recruiter now, but
have you seen, I don't know if you monitor this or if you recruited those, but have you seen a difference in the people that you get from Craigslist as opposed to the people you get from other recruiting methods?
Yeah, Craigslist is the worst. And it's not really close. I don't really know the exact reason, but
it's the cheapest. I mean, I assume at least you're putting in very little and you're getting, I guess, the people who are just looking on Craigslist are not the most serious.
I don't know if it's the cheapest, because I mean, it depends on what you're looking at. Like, if you're sending out a text message blast and you're calling them yourself, it's technically a free lead,
right?
But you have to put in your time. I think Craigslist is kind of like mailers for investors, where it's like the easy thing to do. So I think everyone does it. And if you even look in Craigslist, you'll see thousands of ads. Nobody does the meetup events. I mean, in my market, at least, even in your market, you might find one or two people that are doing it, but you won't find 20 because it's harder. But the great thing is if you guys have renovated properties, you have the perfect opportunity to do that at. And you came out, were you at my the East Boston properties, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of saw what that looked like. And, we'll get 20 or 30 people every single meetup that we have. And out of every single meetup we have, we'll get one agent, maybe two agents, and we'll usually get one person that's interested in potentially lending to us. And that's really, how I monetize those events. And I don't even do them that good. I mean, I could do them. No, I'm serious. I mean, I just don't, I don't spend a lot of time and effort on them. If I did, like, there's somebody that's not that far close. You're not, how far are you from New Jersey?
Like 20, 30 miles.
Okay. So there's a guy named John Steingraber who's in New Jersey. He runs a really good one. I mean, I would check out his. I mean, he's got like 100, 200 people at every single one of his events. But he puts a lot of time, effort, and energy into them. But if you do that, I mean, like me, all I do is I post them on Meetup. I blast my email list, and that's all I do. And then I have food and, do a small little talk, and that's the extent of what I do for the marketing on that side. But if you make them nice and you make it like a more exciting event, you'll get more people.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, do
you think it's dishonest to offer these things until we really started doing marketing and have the leads, or we can just start recruiting now and then do the marketing and provide the leads?
I think that you can say that you're going to have leads. I mean, from the day that you start marketing until the day you have leads, it should be a very, very small window of time. I mean, if you started, generating online leads, like if you were working directly with us, like you would have a lead in your area within 48 to 72 hours. And even if you're not working with us and you have somebody that kind of knows what they're doing, you should, I mean, if you send out a mailer tomorrow, you should have leads by next week. Right. So I think I would not pitch people that you have leads if you really don't plan on spending the money on marketing. But if you do, then by the time that you even get a face-to-face, you should have a lead.
Okay.
The other thing that's really good about having leads is you can kind of use them as not only as a recruiting tool, but you can kind of use them to help leverage out what your agents are doing. So for example, if somebody in my office wants to get seller leads, we will require that they hit the dialer so many hours per week. And so the benefit for me is that not only are they working my leads, but they're also generating new leads for me. So I'll give them the list of the properties I want to buy and the cell phone records on those properties, and then they'll call through those phone records.
Yeah, I saw. The motor dial was very interesting.
Yeah.
What percentage of your leads are coming from calls like that?
From my agents or from other people?
From any Mojo outbound calls?
Probably a third of all my leads, but maybe a tenth of all my leads come from the actual agents. And then we have people that just hit the phones all day long, that's all they do, inside sales agents,
right? Both
in my office and then out of my office. So the people that are just doing the inside sales full time, they can hit 5, 6, 7, 800 calls in a day. Whereas one of my real estate agents, they might hit 100 calls and then they may get busy with the listing, or they might decide they don't want to do it, or whatever the case is. I don't have, because they're independent contractors, I don't have full control over what they're doing. But the people who are just full-time inside sales agents, I mean, if they're not hitting 500 calls in a day, I know that they weren't calling.
And how do you compensate them if they're only inside sales agents?
So I have both local people and then people that work for me kind of on a contract basis. The people that work for me locally, when I started, my goal was to basically give them an hourly rate plus a percentage of the deals that came through. But I found that was not really super motivating for the person, because they would then have to wait to see if they were going to get paid. And they didn't have any control over whether or not we were going to close. Right. So what I decided to do not that long ago was change it from an hourly plus commission to an hourly plus a per appointment fee. So basically I'm giving them, an hourly rate, plus I'm paying them $35 per booked appointment. So if they, like I had somebody, someone in my office, Nicole, she booked 11 appointments on the day you were here. Now, that's not a normal day for her, but, that turned into probably a $500 day for her specifically. So it really directly rewards, what they're doing right then and there, which I think is huge, because, you don't want to make people wait to get paid. It's just, I think it's a little bit demotivating.
Right. I understand.
And
the people that are out on contract, you just pay them hourly?
Yep. Just hourly. And that's more simple. I mean, it's just a straightforward thing. We've got some people in some, lower paying areas of the country that, this is really honestly, probably the only type of work that they can do. You guys try to do that too?
Yeah, we've tried it. It hasn't worked out so good.
Oh, it hasn't worked out. So I will tell you, it's not easy if you try to, manage it yourself and you never have before. So it took a while for us to really perfect this. And I have somebody that just manages that full time. Because if you guys are out if you're trying to manage somebody doing hourly work like that, and you guys are out running around doing deals and you really can't spend a lot of time with them, what's going to end up happening is they're not going to show up one day, or they're not going to hit the amount of dials they should, and you guys won't be there checking. It's really difficult for someone who's actually running a business to manage that type of employee. So, you met some of the people that are in my office every day, and we've got support staff that'll be their full-time job, just to manage that the 5 people are there, that they're motivated, that they can, Carrie will help them with scripts and stuff like that to make sure that if they have any issues. So the other thing too is it's a very high turnover type of position. So in general, like even the people that we do have working for us that are doing calls all day long, there'll still be more turnover than the average job, because for most people that wasn't the dream job that they kind of woke up and wanted to do. So if they find something they like better, or they get demotivated one day, it's kind of it's just a tough position to keep good.
Yeah.
All more reasons though to work with us, because that's the stuff that we're doing, right? Like you don't have to manage the callers, you don't have to manage the online marketing. I mean, it just makes it much more simple because we already know what we're doing and we already have the people to manage it. But you can definitely do it on your own. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like I figured it out on my own, but it's just that you're going to have, like, you failed at that because you probably didn't have the right amount of time to dedicate to getting it off the ground.
Right. So I had a question though. So if we start working with you and we get these leads, if at some point we stop working with you,
mm-hmm.
I assume the leads are ours, but would we then?
Oh yeah. I
then,
can't do anything with them.
Right. Would we then need to go get our own version of Follow Up Boss so that we can put those leads into it?
I would recommend that. I mean, you don't have to use Follow Up Boss. I mean, you can use another CRM, but I think once you start using Follow Up Boss, you're not going to want to use something else. You've
been through other CRMs.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, okay, I don't know if you guys know like Podio or other CRMs like that. I mean, people will debate which one's the best. I've used them all. I like Follow Up Boss the best, but the reality is that they're all pretty similar. So if for some reason you decided I want to take the leads myself and put them into Podio, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think typically speaking, once you get really used to using one CRM, it's like the one thing that you just don't want to change because it's like, someone who uses a Mac all their life, like they don't want to go to a PC. It's just, you get used to it.
Right. Okay. So just to reiterate again, so if we use you for the leads, you are getting us online leads.
And cold calling.
You're taking the inbound call?
No, we are. So there won't be any inbound calls because if someone's filling out a form online, they'll fill out a form online. It will go into the CRM. If we're doing an outbound call, what our inside sales agents are trained to do is get through as many phone numbers as they can. And we don't want them to actually try to have like a real in-depth conversation. Once they identify that the person is interested in selling, we want to then transfer that lead to you because you're the local market expert. Because if they start talking about streets in Long Island, then the trust there is going to get lost. So what we'll say is, hey, we're calling on behalf of XYZ. We're looking to buy houses in this area. Okay, great. You want to sell? Let me put you in touch with the person that is actually going to be out meeting with you. And then that lead would get transferred to you, and then you would make the call.
Okay. So before I know Ryan was doing CMAs. Is that still happening?
It's not for the out-of-state people because of the fact that we've not been good at it, to be honest with you. Every single person that we've tried it for has looked at them and said, I need to make corrections. And it just kept happening. And we just now feel like it's too difficult to know so many different markets. We'll do them here or there for somebody that doesn't have any experience. Like for someone like you who's buying 3 houses a month, you laugh at what they are. But for somebody who's never done a deal before, there's going to be some value there. So we'll still try to help some people that really don't know how to do anything. But I doubt that valuations are really anything that you guys are even remotely struggling with. I mean, it's probably like to the point where you know the type of house, you know the area, you probably know roughly what you can pay.
But we're good at the valuations. To me,
Yes.
it was just like it was a time saver for that. But the truth, I wondered how accurate it could be. If you don't know the area, it's not easy to know.
It can be accurate enough so that if you're offering little enough, they could still work. But the thing is with like our markets is sometimes you have to really get 70 cents in the dollar because you may not be able to get a deal at 65 cents in the dollar. So you actually want to make sure that you know the real after repair value so that you can actually pay what you need to pay so that you can get that property.
Right. All right.
So how come you couldn't make it out?
I was had a meeting on Thursday night,
What type of meeting?
a local political meeting.
Political. Are you guys doing some new construction or anything like that?
We for everything in our area, you got to deal with politicians.
Even for existing build stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So
We're in the large town of Hempstead is the largest township in America, I believe.
okay. So where we are, you really only have to do that for new construction, zoning, and things like that. Interesting.
Unfortunately, and my partner's been very politically involved. It's helped us out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to if you're, if you've got to get things approved. So
He wanted to come.
yeah, it's okay. I mean, we videoed everything, and I'm sure most of the information has been relayed to you. Just curious. We are going to have people back out either late October, early November. So you guys,
it happens to come on in the middle of a Jewish holiday, so I wanted to come back, but we can't do it.
oh well, I think I'm going to end up doing it on a different date than I said.
Oh, so then maybe we have to see.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested. But so what else? What other questions do you guys have?
The key is really going to be for us, I think, to expand. We were talking in the beginning of whether or not we have to spend money on the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I just would hate for it to turn into that situation where we start spending the money and then
Let's see the return.
you don't see anything happening, and then we end up driving 2 hours anyways to get those deals.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reality is with spending money on marketing, you're never going to have 100% guarantee. So you're going to get face to face with a bunch of people. And the reason that we suggest the amount that we suggest is the fact that you want to meet with as many people face to face as you can. And after you meet with so many people face to face, your odds just keep going up and up and up. So could you meet with 20 people face to face and not get one person that's motivating enough to take your offer? It's possible. It's also possible you could get 2 or 3 people. But what we found over the course of, spending millions of dollars on marketing is that for roughly every 10 to 12 people that we meet with that say that they're motivated to sell a house, they will sell directly to us. The other important thing that I should definitely mention is you guys should be making money just on the brokerage side. So a lot of the people that you're meeting with are going to want retail. And if you can convert those into listings, you should be profitable just on the listing side alone.
But you're not guaranteeing the face-to-face either, correct?
We're guaranteeing the leads. And I mean, unless you're not making your calls, you're going to get face-to-face with at least probably 15 to 20 people.
Now, in order to be considered a lead, that guy on the other end, I'll give you what information?
So they're either going to be online, filling out a form and saying, Google searching or on Facebook looking for, sell my house fast, Long Island, and filling out a form. Or we're going to be cold calling them, asking them if they would consider an offer on their house, and they're going to say yes. So if they meet one of those 2 criteria, we consider that a lead. So over the course of like 50 or 60 leads, you're not going to meet with every one of those people. Some of the people are going to fill out a form and they're going to be a real estate agent, or their house might already be listed, or It might be a mobile home or whatever. So there, a certain percentage of them are going to be properties that just you won't even want to meet with. And then a certain percentage of them will fill out a form. You'll call them within 10 seconds and they won't ever respond, for whatever reason. So that's why we need enough leads in order to get enough face-to-face appointments, in order to get enough offers, in order to get enough deals.
And if we're going to them with here's our offer, and they say no, but would you want to list? What is a good? You're saying we're just going with an offer, it's, let's say, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 12. But if we're making a good, here's an offer, or would you want to list with us presentation, how many should we be converting into either listings or buys?
So the investing side is really easy, because when you get to that person who wants to sell at a discount, they don't care who they sell to. So the 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 12, it doesn't really, there's no salesmanship necessarily involved. I shouldn't say none. I mean, if you're rude to them and they don't like you, they probably still won't sell to you. But for the most part, if you show up, you're nice, and you make them an offer, and they're motivated to sell and they want to take the offer, they're going to sell to you. On the listing side, it's different, because they do care who lists their house. So I have people that I'm working with that they're converting about 40% of the appointments into transactions, either a listing or an investment deal. And then I have other people who will go on 20 appointments, and because their sales and presentation skills aren't there, they may go 10 appointments without getting one listing. So, you guys have been in business for a while, just kind of talking to you guys, I don't think you're going to struggle with it. But it also, another part to it is, for the listing side, it comes down to whether or not you want to fight for a listing. So, on the investment side, again, if someone's motivated to sell, they're probably going to sign the contract when you're there. On the listing side, they might meet with 2 or 3 people, and you're going to have to keep following up, and you're going to have to keep asking. And it's harder. It's really actually harder to get a listing than it is to get an investment deal. But the people that I work with that really do push it can get 30 or 40%. And then on the bad side, it might be 10% if you're really not pushing it. I mean, part of sales is showing up, and there are going to be some people that you just show up, even if you don't do a good job, they're going to like you and they're going to work with you anyways.
I just had a question.
What is the pitch? So he goes there with a contract, and you give him a purchase price?
Yes.
All right.
And you give a check out to the seller?
Yes.
Now, we're in an attorney state. I think Massachusetts is also an attorney state, because
yes,
when we buy things now, that earnest money deposit is usually going to his attorney.
No, it can go right to the buyer. I mean, it doesn't have to be held in escrow. It can be held in escrow, but we just give it directly to the seller.
They just signed that contract. They don't send it. Is that like a real contract, or is that you telling them, let's sign this, give me attorney information, we'll send out real contracts tomorrow?
No, we're signing and binding the contract right then and there. We don't have an issue after the fact if the attorney wants to review it. I mean, we're not putting, they're all standard contracts. So just like you guys have a standard New York contract, we have a standard Massachusetts contract. We're not trying to hide anything. We're keeping it simple. I mean, the only thing that matters to us in the contract is, what are we paying? When are we buying it?
No, we believe you. I just think people in New York might be a little bit more wary about this. Like, if I went to someone with a regular contract of sale now and said, and he agreed and signed it, absolutely, my attorney, your attorney, title, they get very weary right away.
So some people are going to want to use an attorney and won't sign anything before an attorney reviews it, which is okay. I mean, we're not saying to them, you have to sign right now. I mean, it's just a matter of what the person wants to do. If they want to lock it up right then and there, which, probably about half the people do, we'll sign it right then and there. And then if they decide that they want, a real estate agent, an attorney, their brother, their sister, I mean, it's not an issue. I mean, we don't tell them that they can't do that. They have every right to get it reviewed. And, when an attorney reviews our contract, do they make changes? Yeah, of course, they have to justify their fee, but they're crossing out one line that, doesn't mean anything and putting in another line that doesn't mean anything, so that's the reality of it.
So when your agents go out on an appointment, they bring a check with them?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you give them negotiating power or leeway on either side?
We do because, well, first of all, we give them the number that we want to pay. And so typically speaking, the number that I give them is a conservative number. So most of the time, when you say negotiating power, most of the time they're actually saying, can we come up? Because the property's in better condition than we thought. Once in a great while, I'll have, a house that, appeared like it might be decent from the outside, and they'll say to me, we can't pay this. The people who really take my acquisitions appointments, I have 150 real estate agents, but I only have really 10 people who are doing the acquisitions. So they know what I like. They have experience. They've done deals before. And so they do have, when it comes down to it, they have to check with me, but they do have a lot of authority.
Now, when you say a motivated seller in this type of situation where you're literally just showing up with a contract and he's ready to go.
Yep.
How do you define that motivation? Like, and your cold call to that guy, what does he say to you that's made him so motivated that he's literally willing to sign contract right when you show up?
They're difficult to identify before we get face to face because most people who, sometimes you will get some tip offs. It can be that, I'm behind on my taxes and I have an auction date of 4 weeks away, or there can be some motivation on the phone. When they fill out a form online, there's not a lot to identify. They're usually not putting a reason in there. But when we get them on the phone, sometimes they'll identify, but we typically uncover it more when we're face to face.
The initial first, you have an initial face to face, and then you send out the realtor, or is that realtor going for the first face to face?
The realtor's going for the first face to face.
And he would so regardless of the situation, he brings a contract,
Mm-hmm.
or he just brings
a contract,
sales,
a check, and a listing agreement.
and a listing agreement.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We're ready. If the seller is ready to do business with us, we're ready. And then again, like you mentioned, there are going to be some people who they want, review, they want to do due diligence. And again, we don't push anybody to work with us if we don't want to. Our job when we get out there is to consult with them, to build rapport, to get them to know, like, and trust us, to provide them with value. And if we do all that, then they're going to want to work with us, whether they work with us that day or whether they work with us a month from now. Sometimes we go out there and they say, I'm not selling for 2 years, and then we'll work with them in 2 years. So.
And the same system you're using right now in the Boston area to get your 150 agents these leads is the same system that would be purchasing from you to supply us with leads in this area.
Yeah, it would be the exact same thing because the stuff that we do works everywhere, right? So you're basically just putting out marketing messages to sellers saying, do you want a fast cash offer? A certain percentage of the people are going to reply. Those people you're going to meet with, get face to face with, you're going to make enough offers. It's just a numbers game, and the only difference from one market to another might be the cost per lead. So for example, in an area like San Francisco or LA, instead of it costing us $100 per lead, it might cost us $130. And in a market like, West Virginia, we've got somebody there that they're more like $70 a lead. So it might cost a little bit less, but typically speaking, the markets that the leads cost a little bit more, the profit margins are a little bit higher. Your market is very similar to my market. So in a lot of ways, it's very similar.
Okay.
All right.
We got to talk. I think we got to start marketing.
Well, you guys, I think you should. Again, it's just a matter of do you do it with our help or do you do it alone? And, there's only 3 things that work: mailing, cold calling, and internet marketing. So, I would, if you work with us, you're going to be doing the cold calling and the internet marketing. But if you're doing it alone, you could do any of those 3. They all work. It's just a matter of getting, enough face-to-faces and meeting with people. And, if you guys do come back, I'd be more than happy to have you even ride with a couple of my real estate agents just to see kind of what our appointments look like. That might be helpful for you. we can't guarantee we're going to get a contract. Most likely we won't get a contract because the odds are against us, but at least you could kind of see what an appointment looks like.
How do you get your leads on who to call?
Get what?
You're going to start cold calling people. How do you determine who to cold call?
In your market or my market?
Our market.
So I'm going to ask you where your most profitable deals are. I can guarantee that you guys probably know the specific areas that they probably have a little bit more financial distress than others. They may be, like if you just look through the past 20 deals that you did, there's going to be some similarities between the ones where you made the most money on. So you're going to kind of give me a general idea of where we're going to be calling, and then we're going to get the cell phone records for them and then just keep calling them. And, again, you call enough people and you're going to get to somebody who says that they're interested in selling.
You're going to get the cell phone records for
the entire area that we give them.
So you're going to just get a cell phone records for anyone who has a cell phone with that area code, and then you're just going to start dialing those numbers and asking if you're interested in selling homes?
You're going to give us the areas that you want to buy houses in, and we're going to get the addresses. And then we're going to pull the cell phone records for those areas.
Are you filtering for age or any other criteria?
Yeah, the criteria we always filter for at a minimum is they have to be 50 years or older. They have to have lived in the house for at least 5 years. And they have to have a mortgage loan to value of 50% LTV or less.
So you'll get every address in the area filtered by that. And then once you boil that down, you'll go and collect cell phone records on those addresses, then start cold calling those people.
Well, if they meet that criteria.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yeah, the cold calling, I mean, all of this is a numbers game, but the cold calling more than anything else is just a matter of calling enough people, and, you're going to get enough people who say yes if you're doing massive calls.
That's interesting. All right.
Really interesting stuff, yeah.
What else you guys got? Is that it? You guys made it easy on me.
I think that's it.
No, we just want to grow. We got to do more deals.
I don't think it's so easy on you. I thought we had some good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you had that last thing you said is pretty. I still got to come to terms with that
because I thought it was all internet.
What do you have to come to terms with?
Like how good
the quality of it?
Yeah, the reality is not so much. We want to make sure that the people you're calling are legitimate people for you to even start a cold call with. Meaning we're spending the money on that.
Yeah.
To make sure that.
Then we're going to end up with a lead that we can hopefully convert.
And that all starts with you calling someone who's legitimate.
Well, when you say legitimate, though, you have to make sure that it's a property that you want and that there's enough equity in the deal for you to buy it. Whether that person is actually going to be motivated, that's the part where you just need enough of them. So you're going to get a bunch of people that want to sell retail. And you're also going to get a bunch of people who will say, yes, I'm considering selling, but it might be 6 months from now. So that's why you need a lot of leads. Like you can't, the biggest mistake I see people make when they try to do this is they'll send out 200 letters and it's not enough. You have to really do it in massive volume in order to get you. It's a filtering process. You actually are going to get mainly bad leads. Like you're not going to get most of the leads you get aren't going to be ready to go and ready to sell to you. So those people that are willing to sell retail, you would want to convert those into listings. And then the ones who want to sell investment wise, you would want to convert into investment deals. But then there's going to be a whole bunch of people who either don't want to sell or they're unrealistic or it's a real estate agent filling out a form. And it's just a volume numbers game. So,
If you could really do this anywhere, so why wouldn't you, why wouldn't you wholesale in New York or in other states? Meaning if all you needed was this list that you could then go and, filter out certain details, why wouldn't you go now and turn this into a nationwide program?
Who would take my appointments?
No, I mean, in terms of just selling the.
You need a face-to-face appointment to get the seller to agree to sell.
You're saying why wouldn't I sell leads nationwide? That's what I'm working on.
You are doing it nationwide.
Yeah, right now we're in probably 44 counties across the U.S.
I mean, there were people from all over the country.
And the only reason you can't do it personally is because you need people to go on these appointments for you.
Oh yeah, if I could do this myself, I wouldn't be talking to anybody. The problem, there's two obstacles. First of all, I need people that can execute on the ground, which I have enough trouble doing that in Boston. So I'm always looking for good. I mean, it's honestly, it's not easy finding good people. Like the difference between me trying to hire someone like you and you is that you're going to be so motivated to close these because it's your money in your pocket. But think about if it was just some random person that I'm trying to find in Long Island. That would take me a long time to find somebody good, and then it would be difficult for me to manage. But then that's the first part of it. The second part of it is I couldn't manage the contracting crews. But let's just say I decided I want to just wholesale. Now I have to then wholesale deals to people in a market where I'm not physically located. So the level of difficulty is very hard. And what I'm doing now is instead of doing the whole piece, I'm taking a little cut from a lot of people in a lot of different markets. So if I really wanted to, if it was my lifelong dream to start doing this in Long Island, I could do it, but I would probably only be able to be in Long Island. Like I would be in Boston, then I could move into Long Island maybe over the course of 3 or 4 years, as opposed to now where I'm taking a small cut over literally. I've got people in Texas, California, Florida, all different markets. So it's just more scalable for me as a business owner.
Makes sense. Yeah, there were people from all over. I was surprised at how geographically diverse the crew was that was there at the.
I'm always surprised at how few people I get in the Northeast. Right? Like, I mean, there was you. Where were the other close people? I mean, I had a couple of people in Boston that just kind of know me, but
most people are from other regions. So a lot of California, Carolinas, everywhere.
I almost never get Connecticut. I don't get much New York. I don't get much Rhode Island. I don't get much Pennsylvania. I don't know why. I've gotten tons of people in California, tons of people in Texas, but even like Minnesota, I've talked to a lot of people. Just I don't even know. It's just weird. I don't get that many people. I would think they would be more interested. I would think that the people would be more interested from the Northeast because they can literally just drive to my office whenever they want and kind of see our operations. But I've had more success with, people in areas that aren't anywhere near me.
Okay. You have anything else?
No.
Yeah. So if you guys need anything else, let me know. I mean, I'm happy to even just, give you my opinion on any sort of marketing or whatever. And, definitely, wish you guys the best of luck. It's definitely easily scalable with the marketing behind you for sure. I think it's just a matter of like, it's not fun to spend money on marketing. Like I'll be the first to tell you, I spend a lot now and I make it seem kind of like it's a no-brainer. But when you're first doing it, every single dollar that you spend, you're like, man, like, is this going to work? So, I mean, it is what it is. I just don't think that there's really I don't think there's another really good option for you guys. Like, I don't think there's an option B that's kind of like close to being as good. But
we feel like we need to do something where we get a predictable result from it.
Well, that's the other thing that we didn't even talk about. I mean, you go to auctions, you buy stuff on the MLS, you have no clue what you're going to close, when you're going to close it. And with the marketing, there's still some unpredictability to it, but it becomes more predictable for sure.
I think that's what we want.
So, all right, guys, let me know if you need anything else.
Thank you very much.
All right. It's nice to meet you, by the way.
Likewise.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.